I was a comic book writer due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I worked from home most of the time. In a time of running out of ideas, I went online to read more horror comics as usual, but I never expected to encounter a true horror story that happened in my hometown. The story happened with a man fishing by the main river of the village. He started fishing early in the morning, but it was not until noon that his fishing rod would vibrate. The man saw this, immediately tugged on the fishing line, but it was as if someone stopped him. It took a long time before he was able to pull the rod up and see a big fish. Thinking that he had caught a great deal today, the man was shocked to see the fish's body in front of him. It was no longer a whole fish, because its belly had lost a large piece of flesh, exposing both bones and internal organs. The man who saw the fish was also surprised, not knowing that the bottom of the deep lake was a strange monster, and it was the killer who ate his fish. The monster discovered that a fish was caught in the distance, so it swam to a cup of half of the fish's flesh. After eating, he returned the fish to the hook and quietly swam away without leaving a trace. The man left without thinking. That was why no one in the village knew about the strange story. The following day, a group of women from the village went to the cornfield, located right next to the river, to harvest. Each person picked corn from their field and put it in a basket hanging behind his back. By midday, a woman had already harvested enough corn. She happily greeted everyone and left first. She went straight home, through a cornfield about as tall as an adult, in the direction to the other riverbank. The other two women, seeing this, also quickly harvested their corn and then carried all the corn on their backs and left. On the way, the two also passed by the riverbank. They saw the woman earlier in the middle of the lake. Feeling a little curious, they also stopped to take a look. Both of them saw the woman below was struggling and not knowing what to do, so they stood up from the shore and asked. Hearing the sound of people, the woman in the lake seemed to have met a benefactor, hurriedly shouted for help and pointed at the water, causing the other two women to look at each other. The water in the river kept flowing, but the water level was not too high. Strangely, the woman in the water just burst into tears while reaching for the shore to ask the other two women to help. The two women who saw this also felt troubled. Both of them wanted to come down to help, but neither of them dared to do so. They started looking at each other, discussing to find a long branch of the tree to pass down to the woman below. At the moment, there were footsteps from away. They happily turned around and saw a village man coming from afar. Two hurriedly shouted to the man for help. After seeing the incident, the man quickly went down to help the woman in trouble. The man swam with the fast-flowing water to the woman's place. He reached out his hand as a pedestal for the woman to cling to and tried to bring her to the shore. But when he just got down to the place, the woman was sinking deeper and deeper into the water. He tried, no matter how, he could not lift the woman. He firmly held the rope tied to the cow, and the two girls on the shore tried to push the cow back to borrow more pulling power, pulling both people out of the water. It took a very long time for the cow's strength to pull them both out of the deep water and out of danger. The two with wet bodies were finally safe on shore. The man was trying to dry his clothes while the woman was crying, making everyone curious. Her two friends had to try and ask her to tell her everything in tears. Her face was still full of haunting fear. She told everyone she was pulled down by something in the lake. To prove it, she even rolled up her pants, revealing a big person's handprint still imprinted in black on her leg. Seeing the handprints on the woman's legs, everyone panicked. Everyone worriedly asked her what the hell was dragging her down. But the poor woman couldn't see the killer's face. She just said the hand of this thing was human-like, but slimy like the body of a fish. She recounted at that time she was on her way to bring corn to her house when she passed this lake. On the way, suddenly the woman heard someone calling her, startling her, so she turned to see who it was. But when she turned into the direction of the voice, she saw no one. only a pair of beautiful shoes on the water. Based on the size and shape of the shoe, she knew it would fit her foot well, especially the pattern burned on the shoe. She guessed it was an expensive shoe that someone rich had lost. So the woman decided to leave the corn basket on the shore, pulled up her pants herself and waded into the water to pick up the shoes. But when she was only a few inches from the shoes, suddenly the water moved, creating small waves, pushing the shoe further and further away from the shore. The woman loved the shoe so much, forgot about the danger, waded into the water herself and decided to get the shoes. But at the same time, waves came from nowhere, washed away the shoes in front of her. She was dragged down by some invisible force at the bottom of the lake. After hearing the story, the man seemed very annoyed, so he told the three women to go home and he was prepared to catch something strange at the bottom of the lake tonight. Hearing his words, the women brought back all the corn they harvested. The strange story was also hidden by all four people. No one knew anything more. Thinking that the story was over that night, a young man in the village encountered a strange thing at this very riverbank. He accidentally passed by the riverbank when he heard strange sounds coming from behind the bushes by the riverbank. The curious young man went to the bush to check it out, but he didn't see anything unusual and lingered for a long time to look. Later, not knowing what this young man witnessed in the middle of the night, but immediately screamed and ran away. Then he ran home and turned back with one of his brothers. They carried a large fishing net towards the riverbank. Both began to choose a hidden place for themselves behind the tall trees for easy monitoring. In the middle of the night, the water below the river's surface suddenly appeared in waves like it was a giant moving below. Knowing that the time had come, the two young men slowly went out prepared, waiting for the mysterious thing to appear. Then they would throw the net down to catch it. Fortunately, at that moment, the sound of that strange creature resounded not far from where the two young men were standing. The young man saw all this, determined not to lose opportunity. Immediately threw his big net into the water. A loud noise rang out, grabbing the underwater creature, but it was unclear what was below that the young man alone could not pull up. The companion who was with him also went in to help, but no matter how much the two of them worked together, they could not pull the net up easily because of the creature's weight below. Both were still pulling the net. The net was slowly lifted out of the water, slowly and heavily. The two young men began to estimate that it could only be an adult, but there was no way a fish would weigh that much. After much hard work pulling the net, the two young men finally brought the net ashore. Both excitedly opened up to see what the mysterious creature was. Unexpectedly, it did not get the desired result. In the nets was a giant fish they had never seen since. Moreover, from the fish's belly was also a large piece missing. From then on, people in the village spread stories about the riverside having a monster that no one dared to approach anymore.